Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Identifying and Addressing Team Problems. I'm going to learn some insights from leadership and even group dynamics for week number 4. I apologize for my voice, uh, but today we're going to talk about a critical topic in leadership and even management and how to identify and address problems within a given team. So I'm excited to share in many ways a framework from one of your textbooks, Five Dysfunctions of a Team, and hopefully this will be helpful as you're reading through that book and even see the problems that are existing within that book, but maybe it exists within your current construct or family life, organizational life. Maybe you're leading in a church and you're seeing similar problems that the book is identifying. Maybe you have heard the phrase in your life, I'm dysfunctional, how about you? There's probably some truth in that statement, and in fact, truth be told about teams in general, in all areas of life, and in many ways in organizational life by which we often operate in. We might even see some dysfunctions within our families and the need for restoration, the need for correctiveness. So the goal for this lecture is to establish what are those identifying factors, and hopefully this would be an encouragement to you as you are serving and leading within an organization. So by way of introduction to team dynamics, we want to ask the question, what exactly is team dysfunction? So think of a hidden obstacle. It's a recurring pattern of behavior that prevents a team from reaching its full potential, and often without anyone directing or addressing it directly within that team. So it results in poor performance, low morale for each individual on the team, and oftentimes there's missed opportunities. The good news, though, is that there is really a solution that the book is offering to us, and we can use this as a theoretical framework to diagnose those problems systematically. And so the model we're going to explore for this mini lecture is Patrick Lencioni's book. It's really a classic book on the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and it's a foundational text for anyone who desires to work or lead within a team environment. Lencioni's model is quite compelling. It gives us a visual pyramid for good reason. Each level builds upon one another, and the foundation is the weak, and everything else crumbles from that foundation. So the 5 dysfunctions from the base to the top, such as absence of trust, fear of conflict, the lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and the inattention to results. We'll go through each of these steps and explore some solutions and how we might be better leaders within a given team structure. So here's Lencioni's basis for identifying 5 dysfunctions of a team. So we'll start at the base level of absence of trust, the fear of conflict, the lack of commitment, and the avoidance of accountability, and the inattention to results. So we're going to identify each of these in the forthcoming slides. And again, you can take notes as we work through the book. So the base of the pyramid is the absence of trust. This is the root cause of most team problems. It is not about trusting someone to do their job. It is about being vulnerable with each other. And this is what Lencioni is trying to identify within his book. So the idea or the attitude of vulnerability is important to him. It's the unwillingness to admit a mistake and to say, I don't know, or ask without the fear of judgment. And when trust is absent within any given team or unit, there is a hidden weakness, or there's a hesitant toward offering even constructive criticism within the framework of the team. So the environment of the team begins to lose momentum. There's not a family ideal there, and it results in more complex problems. So to fix this, the leader must himself or herself show vulnerability. And this is really the first stage for Leocione's attack or the solving of the problem. And so the leader begins to encourage personal storytelling and create as he identifies, a safe space for people to admit their flaws. So we are in dysfunction number 2, the fear of conflict, in which Patrick Lencioni is trying to identify as one of the leading causes for team dysfunction. And so he says that there's the fear of conflict. This isn't about like personal fighting, more about the avoidance of productive, unfiltered debate around ideas. What he is targeting is saying that every healthy team needs to be able to debate the ideas. And if there's not a opportunity to debate the ideas within a team framework, then those team meetings become boring, a waste of time, and often team members may try to avoid those meetings altogether. And so Leoncioni believes that every team must have a framework for conflict management. This is important that every team member be allowed time to give honest feedback about the process, or even encourage some different metrics to be used in order to solve the complex problem that your organization is facing. For example, if you're trying to sell so many sprockets, and this last quarter the results have been dismal, and the need to increase sales, and so the teams come together to discuss how they might increase sale growth for the next quarter. And that might be through creativity, it might be through maybe discounting prices, but that can only come through the team working together and trying to solve the conflict at hand. So the solution that Leoncioni gives for the group dysfunction is that every group needs to have ground rules for healthy debate. And so the leader over that particular subgroup or even the organization can play the devil's advocate at time in order to get the team moving toward some results and some actionable steps that they can include for solving the problem. So remember, in this particular phase for the book, conflict over ideas, as he says, is necessary for the team to grow. And so now we're on dysfunction number 3. Remember, there's 5 dysfunctions of a team. The third one here is the lack of commitment. So if a team doesn't engage in healthy conflict, it's difficult for them to achieve this third level that Patrick has provided for us in his book, the lack of commitment. He goes on to say that without open debate from team members, don't truly buy in to a decision, even if they nod their head during a team meeting. You might even see that body language happening in a given meeting at your place of work or ministry. This leads to a lot of ambiguity, as he identifies in this chapter on the lack of commitment. And so because of ambiguity, it leads to then the leader not knowing, and it leads to second guessing. So what he says to solve this is to ensure that everyone has a chance to give their opinion or voice their concern, and this will help to establish a decision or articulate a decision that needs to be made, and that everyone is able to understand what is being asked of the team or the team members for that given department. So commitment means that everyone has clarity. So this is really important as a team leader to know this, that there's clarity, there's buy-in, not just the attitude of consensus. So we are moving along rather quickly here about Leoncioni's book, and the fourth dysfunction is the avoidance of accountability. So this is another important trait to identify within your particular group. And so when a team lacks commitment, it's almost impossible for members to hold their own peers accountable to the results. It feels awkward at times and even uncomfortable, And so performance slips, resentment builds, and the leader is often the only one left to enforce what he would say is discipline. This is important to note as a leader. So the best way to fix this is to make the team accountable for the action. So what he identifies is that each team should publicly clarify goals and even areas of responsibilities and empower peers to provide honest, constructive feedback to each other on the team. You know what this feels like when you're assigned a group. We've had that as an assignment maybe in our school time, and there was always one or two people that did most of the work, and there was one or two or three others that didn't do any work at all. We would call that a dysfunctional team because there wasn't clarifying rules for how each player, each individual member of that team would play out and carry out given responsibilities. So moving forward on this avoidance of accountability, Leocioni goes on to say that in order for the leader to begin to bring some solving of the problem is that he or she needs to exhibit accountability. So let me clarify this in some more practical ways. You should provide some feedback to each of those. Maybe it's peer review. You might have heard of 360 analysis, where the leader is also evaluated and by those within the group. But that is one effective way to do performance review, is that when the team participates in it and also evaluates even the leader. So at this phase, Leocioni is saying that each member of the team and even the leader needs to seek accountability. This can only lead to helpful feedback loop and bring about health to our team dynamics. So finally, we are on the fifth element of the pyramid, the dysfunction of inattention to results. And so at the top of the pyramid, we have this inattention to results, where the team's focus shifts from collective success to individual goals and even personal status. And when this happens, people start prioritizing their own career. Often their ego becomes the center stage or the center focus, and so the team is forgotten, and that the team's mission is about being one, being unified on mission. And so what Leocioni says, in order to address this, the leader must publicly celebrate the collective successes of everyone and tie those rewards to the team's performance and not just to individual achievement. And so he says a team that focuses on results understand that its ultimate success depends on everyone shouldering together for the end results. So this is how he identifies these healthy results. And this will lead to the next slide on inattention to results, some solutions that we might employ within our team dynamics. So if you were to look at each of these 5 dynamics of dysfunctions within a team or organizational life, Leocioni would say seek those solutions to solve the dysfunction. So remember, in this 5th area of the dysfunctions of a team, what he said is that we should celebrate is that one way to increase an organizational effectiveness or a team effectiveness, and a company should use rewards and remind people of the shared vision that has been established. Now remember that individual rewards is based on team performance, not just individual, that I achieved so many sales at selling my given sprocket. It's actually the whole team working together and pulling for each other to get the sales quota established for that cycle. So as we come to a conclusion of the mini lecture here, I want to consider at least leadership dynamics and how we evaluate team performance. While Leocioni's model is key, it's also important for us to consider other broader leadership theories that are in play. For example, you have been introduced to transformational leadership. For instance, in this particular framework, it inspires and it motivates a team toward a shared vision. If you remember in the previous mini lectures, I also mentioned democratic leadership style, which empowers team members by involving them in the decision-making process. You also, along the way in your leadership program, you're going to be exposed to other models such as the Hershey and Blanchard, which sees things from a more situational leadership perspective. And in each situation, the leader has to adapt their style to fit the specific need of the team and even the situation that is at hand. So as you think in terms of the 5 dysfunctions, think even broader beyond what he mentions in the book. How might it apply to other theoretical leadership models, such as, again, transformational leadership? There's the servant leadership model developed by Greenleaf. There's a transactional model. Again, Hershey Blanchard's situational. There's ethical leadership, spiritual leadership. There's so many that you can think in terms of which models best fit the given life cycle of a team or even organizational life. Now, similarly, as we come to the close, is to think in terms of actionable steps to address the problems that you might see within a given team. So when we begin to identify that we might have some dysfunctions, here are some practical considerations as you move ahead as a leader and even as a student. First and foremost, focus on creating a place of safety within your given organization or even within your team. The theoretical action behind that is addressing psychological safety. And if you look at that from a team leadership theory, you're going to notice that Amy Edmondson was the founder. And in her book, she talks about the fearless organization, where people must feel safe to take risks and even show an attitude of vulnerability. And so when a leader and an organization exhibit this psychological safety, she goes on to say that it encourages open communication, it defines clear roles, and even celebrates the small wins to build that momentum that needs to move forward. And she concludes that there has to be active listening taking place by every member within the team. So whether that's the leader or the members that make up that team process. These become crucial steps for transforming a dysfunctional group into what we would identify within this course is a high-performing, actionable growth performing team. Again, as we come to a close, is to look at those actionable steps to address the team's problem. And so if you can identify the 5 dysfunctions that the book has already identified for you, and you see those within your team, maybe it's within your family unit, then you are identifying something critical. And so you want to move from stagnation over to growth. You want to see vitality. You want to see progress. You really want your team to grow and move forward to see direct results. And so I would maybe purchase the book, The Fearless Organization, Creating Psychological Safety in the Workplace for Learning, Innovation, and Growth. It's an interesting book. It doesn't mean I agree with everything she concludes or makes statements about, but these are areas that if you're wanting to improve as a leader, you definitely need to get that as one of your top reads for leading a team. So in conclusion, building a great team is a choice. It requires work and commitment to addressing the underlying problems as what Lencioni identifies as the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And then he provides some proven leadership principles that can move the team from a state of mediocrity to one of excellence. So the key to building a culture of trust is to embrace healthy conflict management and to focus on the collective results where everyone is included, everyone can provide feedback, there's the feedback loop, there's a closing of the loop, and you're actually seeing the results. You're seeing healthy dialogue, you're seeing healthy key performances being met, and it might be that you're seeing increase in sales, you might seeing project getting done in a timely way. And so this is something for us to consider or even address as we move ahead in our leadership practice.